Welcome to a groundbreaking series on the Language of Leadership podcast, where we will be sharing some very pivotal conversations shaping the future of leadership within the drug and alcohol testing industry. In collaboration with Clearing the Haze podcast, we're going to be presenting an exclusive series featuring insightful interviews with esteemed leaders and visionaries, each seeking election for a seat on the National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association's Board of Directors. These conversations are not just about aspirations of individuals seeking leadership roles. They are a testament to the power of strategic leadership and its potential to transform an industry. So join us as we explore the diverse perspectives and innovative ideas from the forefront of leadership, all of whom are united by a common goal: to drive forward the mission of the drug and alcohol testing industry through exemplary and visionary insight. In an industry as critical as drug and alcohol testing, leadership goes beyond mere management. It embodies the drive for safety, integrity, and innovation. Leaders within this industry bear a responsibility that extends beyond their businesses. It impacts the public health, the workplace safety, and social norms and substance abuse use. The individuals stepping forward to seek election on the NDASA board of directors are not just seeking a title. They're pledging to steer this crucial industry towards new heights of excellence and ethical standards. Their leadership is the future, and it's setting a precedence that defines the effectiveness and the reliability of testing protocols and ultimately the safety of our communities. The drug and alcohol testing industry stands at the crossroads in public safety and workplace integrity, where leadership doesn't just shape policies but molds the very fabric of commitment to health and safety. So in this dynamic landscape, leaders are not merely decision makers. They are visionaries who foresee challenges, innovate solutions, and inspire change. Their roles transcend operational oversight. It embodies the ethical standards and dedication required to advance not only their organizations, but the industry at large. So as we embark in this series, we want to underscore the pivotal role of leadership in steering the drug and alcohol testing industry towards new horizons of excellence and accountability. These leaders embody the vision to foresee future challenges and opportunities, the resilience to navigate through regulatory complexities, and the compassion to understand the profound impact on human lives is incredible. You will learn that leaders in this field do not just guide their organizations. They shape the standards and the ethics and also the practices that safeguard our communities and workplaces. Their decisions influence policy, impact public health, and directly contribute to creating safer, more productive environments. So this series aims to highlight not just the strategic acumen, but the heart behind the helm, the kind of leadership that truly makes a difference. So I hope you enjoy this series, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and how this helped you in your leadership journey. Hello, and welcome to this special edition of Clearing the Haze. I'm your host, Chuck Marting, and today we have Jan Kornmann with us. And Jan and I have known each other for quite a few years now, and I've had the privilege of being one of the founding members with her of NDASA. So she's a wealth of knowledge regarding this organization, having seen it from the beginning. And so this will be a great interview with Jan. So Jan, how are you?
I am just fine. And I've got a sunny scene, but we've had little snowflakes here today in wonderful South Dakota, right?
Well,
Thanks,
yeah.
Chuck, for having me. I
Oh,
appreciate this.
not a problem. I'm grateful for your willingness to serve on the board and wanting to continue to do so. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and ask. I know about you and your experience and stuff like that, but a lot of people that are tuning in, this is their first time, maybe even knowing who you are. And so I want to give you an opportunity to, give us a little overview of your experience, your background in the drug and alcohol screening industry, and any relevant industry affiliations or certifications that you want to mention?
Okay, well, I go back a few years. We always say we are seasoned. We're not old in this industry, and we've gone through a lot of seasons. So I first started way back in the late 80s. And at that time, I was working in I was working for a laboratory because I was a laboratory technician. And then I went back and got my bachelor's degree in management and sales. So it kind of grows. What I tell people, my background, where I started and where I am today, it just has developed through the thing, and everything you've known before goes into your next position. I am at that time when President Reagan was in office and he did the executive order, the 12564, as we all know in the urine and drug alcohol industry. That was the beginning of the drug testing for workplace testing. I was working for what was called North Central Laboratories. They got purchased out by Laboratory Clinical Medicine down in Sioux Falls, and then we got purchased by Nichols Institute from California. Nichols Institute was one of the first 10 labs to be approved to do the drug testing. So I was there from the forefront when this all happened. And what my job was in sales was to go out to the employers and inform them of, number one, we can do the drug test for you, and number two, help them set up their programs. So it goes way back there. And things were different when we started, Chuck. You were probably too young to know then, but they were, things change and things evolved through the time. Well, I stayed there until they decided that they had their own salespeople, and then it was just, I knew my time was getting short, so I moved into occupational medicine. And in occupational medicine, guess what? We did drug testing. I was actually the manager in the Fairview system. Mm-hmm. And I would train all my employees. I always said a good manager knows how to do the work before they can have your people do it, because for them to say, no, you can't do it this way, and I'm going, I think you can, we could work together that way. So back then, I worked for the first occupational medicine center for 5 years. It was in the Fairview system. If anybody's from the Minneapolis area, that's where I was. And I got to meet a lot of different companies and help them set up their drug programs. I trained a lot of people back then to be urine drug collectors. And I went and got trained as a breath alcohol technician trainer. So I did the breath alcohol training as well. And I guess that was my first introduction of really being serious about 49 CFR Part 40, where it was for the Department of Transportation. We all know it started because we wanted a work-free place. Drug-free workplace. I'm saying things in front of each other here right now. But that's where it all developed. And what I would do is I would train the individuals as what I called qualified professional collectors, because that's what you have to be in order to do urine drug collections, is be qualified. I did breath alcohol training. I certified people in doing that because they have to be certified on the specific device. Then I moved into another occupational medicine clinic, worked with them for about 15 years. And then when we moved out here to South Dakota, I decided, why am I doing this for employers? I'm going to set up my own business. So in 1998, I set up my own business, and I became a consultant in the drug and alcohol industry, did safety training. I not only did the urine and alcohol training to the drug companies, but I also did the OSHA training for them at that time too. So that was another, when we talk about, drug and alcohol testing being, why do we do it? Because of safety. It was a really good mesh together there to work together. So then I trained the collectors. I also went out to companies and trained the companies. So we all know in the drug and alcohol industry, what do we have to do? We have to have reasonable suspicion. And Chuck does a very good class on reasonable suspicion because he's a drug recognition expert. So that goes hands in hand with the reasonable suspicion. And I'm going to tell you straightforward, a lot of us that are in this industry, we work together. We work together on all this. And I am so proud of all the people that have worked together with me and teaching me in things, and you as well, Chuck. I'm sure you can say the same thing. There's been a lot of us. So we kind of cross paths when we talk about reasonable suspicion, designated employer representative training, all that kind of stuff. So I was doing that with my business, and I still am. I then got into doing some third-party administration. So I was taking care of school bus drivers we call South Dakota is divided in half with the Missouri River. So East River, I was taking care of a lot of the schools here with their bus drivers and the drug and alcohol. Um, very interesting to work with them, and it was educating for them and to me. So we'd have special classes for just them, so they could learn about things. It's all about educating. It's all about training. That's what it's all about in my life. So in 2010, I then did take on starting to sell LifeLock Technologies equipment. So I became a distributor of them and a master trainer for them. So that's kind of my background. And you can see it just kind of boom, boom, boom from one job to the next, and kept doing the same thing. Really, basically, wasn't any change in the direction I'm going.
Oh,
But
it's kind of continued to progress for you.
right. Yeah. And what it's all about is leadership. You have to know what you're going to lead the people in and who you're training with and who you're working with. You're consulting with them. One of the big things which is always interesting is companies and people that I work with, they don't have time to really research a lot of stuff. And so as a consultant, you do tell them what's coming in the forefront and how to help them. And we know there's changes. There's been lots of changes. Recently, there's going to be more. With the oral fluid testing now being put in there, we're going to be pretty busy once that hits the road. The training's there already, but that's for the trainer. When that comes and we got them laboratory certified and we have the specific devices, we're going to be running around like little chiefs and talking to all the Indians here or whatever you want to talk about, or the CEO and all their employees and the union reps, and everybody's going to have to know and be trained in doing that and determine when they're going to do what, when, where, and how. Are they going to do all oral fluid? Are they going to do urine and oral fluid? When are they going to do it? So we're going to be busy. In doing that, whenever I'm talking to companies, I'm promoting National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association. I think that's very important, and that's one of my big things in my job is to make sure that they understand they probably should belong to National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association. They do the background and find the things that we need to have out there for them to learn. We try to teach them the right way and not fake news, let's put it that way, because there are a lot of things out there, and I know that's fake.
Yeah.
There aren't studies on some of these drugs that they're professing that are good for things. So that's one thing that I like to do, is to keep up with that for everybody. Currently, I am the secretary for the board, and so I'm pretty busy at that. So I'm on the executive committee. I'm the chair of the training and certification committee. I have served as the chair for the marketing and communication committee. I still am part of the membership committee and the mentorship committee, same as you, Chuck. Yep. So that's kind of another baby of ours that we went and got. There are so many people out there starting up business and having nowhere to go. And so I think that's really a good program that we've got going on. So as a mentor to the mentees, I think it'll help us in the industry in the long run. I also sit as the state affiliate in South Dakota, and I'm proud of that one too, because when South Dakota legalized medical marijuana, I actually helped them manage and influence them to get together and talk about the laws that were passed. So I can remember we had 100 people on a video on a Zoom call, and we talked about it, and it didn't stop there. They're still working on changing some of the things that they put into place back then. So I feel like that was kind of nice. That's a good thing that I probably would never have done if it wouldn't have been for National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association and State Affiliate Program. I probably wouldn't have done that. You asked about what industry affiliations or certifications I have. I was a member of Drug and Alcohol Testing Industry Association for over 20 years. And in that, I was one of the instructors, and I did the ins and outs of drug and alcohol testing. I can say forthright, every conference I would attend. I think that's important to keep up within in this industry. And I think you show your leadership by going to those conferences as well. As far as National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association goes, I'm a member there. you and I, Chuck, you were one of them. We were the organizers of the association back in 2017. And by 2018, we kicked it off in Washington, D.C. And in April of 2018. And here we are today, 6 years later, and it's really a strong association,
Isn't
right?
it amazing?
It is. It is amazing. I sit back and think, I wonder if we really knew it was going to be this big.
We hoped it would
But it
be.
is. Yeah, we
Yeah.
hoped, but not this fast, maybe.
Yeah.
We didn't know it was going to happen this fast, but it really did. It really has turned out. Because I'm a master trainer, I'm certified as a urine drug collector. I'm certified as and we use the acronym now, CPC, Certified Professional Collector. I
Hmm.
also train the Certified Professional Collector trainers. I also train people as breath alcohol technicians and have that certification, and a certified lifelock operator calibration technician. Provisional instructors, I instruct them so they can go and instruct in their own company, which is kind of nice and saves them a lot of time and effort. Um,
Yeah.
Also, the training I do for the employers, the DER, I have gone and been certified as a designated employer representative. I have been trained in reasonable suspicion. So I feel like I can relate how other people train as well and get more information out there. But I have certifications in all of those. So I keep myself busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think probably a good 85 to 90% of the membership has been trained by you for breath alcohol or urine collections by now.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few people. I know during the pandemic, we really did. We said, being as people have time on their hands and they're not
Let's
doing.
get this
So
done.
we
Yeah.
did a really a good deal for all the urine drug collectors. I don't know how many I did that summer. It was like every day groups,
Yeah,
every
I know
day.
that you stayed pretty doggone busy. So
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
so
And
so Jan, I know that you're pursuing wanting to be reelected on the board of trustees and for your position as secretary. Um, what do you hope to achieve that you haven't achieved already if you're reelected?
well, it's always changing. And
Yeah.
we're always thinking about new things to do. And being on the board, we have you actually sit down and brainstorm and figure out where we have to go. Uh, I have to look at this is my why. This is why I want to join why did I want to go back and serve another term? And it's mainly because it's part of my legacy, number one. And number two, we are the leaders in the industry, and I still want to be a part of that. And I want to still help. I mean, there's training things that we're going to have to come up with. And I like being a part of that and being able to achieve that information that we need to do. Basically, Chuck, you and I know a lot of the members, they may want to be on the board, but they don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the stage, I have the time. I can
Yeah.
make the time. So that sometimes is a part of it. It's really, you have to really dedicate yourself to it. And my dedication is number one, we just had the advocacy day. That was the best kickoff we had for advocacy in Washington, D.C. We we as a board decided we're going to do that annually. That's
Yeah.
the kind of things being on the board that we can help and help direct and agree with and find out what we need to do. So with my experience, my knowledge, I think I can help with anything that comes in front of us in regards to the drug and alcohol industry and what we need to profess out there and get out there. We'll be able to give the facts to the people, not fallacy,
Yeah.
because as a board we have a mix. I love working with the people on the board right now because we have a mix of people. We have somebody that is in the laboratory. We have someone who does the TPA. I mean, every little fraction of the people that are on the board, they put their input in there. And I really enjoy working with all the people. I really do. It's fun.
There's a
It's
great
a fun
influence
position.
there. There's a lot of good people that
There
uh,
are.
what I like about NDASA is it's just not the collectors. We've got MROs, we've got labs, we've got all these different individuals or all these different entities within different aspects of the drug and alcohol screening industry.
Hmm.
And they all bring certain things to the table.
Yeah.
And they all
Yeah.
bring a wealth of experience and knowledge. And I think it's all helping to make this organization grow the way that it is
Right.
and to give them a voice to
Right.
be able to make it better. And I think
Right.
that's what's been really amazing to see.
Well, and the other part of it, Chuck, is I don't want to lose sight of why we started National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association. I mean,
Mhm.
there was nobody out there that was advocating for the employers. There really
Yeah,
wasn't.
exactly.
So our mission, I don't want us to lose contents of our mission that we set up, that we're going to advocate for a safe and drug-free workplace,
Yeah,
and in the communities. And how are we going to do that? Through the legislation, advocacy, education, training, and the excellence in the drug and alcohol screening services. So I don't want to lose sight of that. That's why we started our association. So I feel that's a real part of why I want to sit on the board yet. I want to make sure that we do stay in line with our mission. And I think that's the job as a board member, to be able to say, yes, no, that's not the right direction we're going in, or putting things in there that we really aren't necessarily involved with.
right. You bring
Yeah.
up a lot of good points, Jan. And I think with everything that you've just mentioned, I think it kind of goes into the next question that I have for you, and that's, you know, with everything that we're experiencing, what are the most pressing issues or challenges that are facing the drug and alcohol screening industry today, and how do you propose the board address these changes?
Okay. Well, if we look at law, state laws, we look at federal laws, that's, I guess, where we have to really stop and think about what we want to have happen. Do we really want marijuana to be rescheduled from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 3? And that I don't know if everybody is aware of, and maybe we should be able to explain that to people. The reason why we were in Washington, D.C. is one of those reasons. If that happens, we need to have a DOT, Department of Transportation, safety carve out.
Yeah,
Because if we don't, and I think we, as educating the people, this is one of our challenges, is getting to the right person to get the right information to them. Chuck, you were in my group that went around and we saw the senators. I thought thank you for being a part of it. It was
yeah,
really fun to meet with some of them, because it was eye opener in some respect. The one of them, I don't remember even who it was, as they said, well, when FDA changes that schedule, they can they'll take care of this. Not
no,
necessarily. And that's where we, as an association, we're there to help them explain, no, you can't put that on FDA. Number one, they don't. The Congress is the people who has to pass the law. And so we need that safety carve out. And I guess prevention of, like I told the one person, I'm not going to fly again if that happens.
yeah.
And we don't have the safety car. I probably am going to go miles out of my way not to cross a railroad track.
I think there'd be a lot
And
of us doing that.
there'll be a lot of things that I won't be doing anymore, because I don't want to get in the plane or have the kids get on the school bus with somebody that's been using. We know that we can't test for the impairment, but they are impaired.
It seemed like a lot of
Yeah.
that was afterthoughts
Yeah.
for a lot of
Yeah.
people. They didn't
Right.
realize until you actually sat down and started to explain it to them the
Mm-hmm.
impact that these things are going to have. And if you don't have
Right.
that big picture, and if you don't go to people like NDASA or employers to find out what their concerns are
Right.
and what that's going to look like should it pass, you're not
Right.
going to get that perspective. And it's going to
No.
be an afterthought, and then it's going to be an oh crap moment once it
Now what are we
passes,
going to do?
because now what do you do?
Right.
Exactly.
Visionary leaders, the path to your greatness begins here. Introducing the Alliance Mastermind Group, a sanctuary designed to amplify your leadership potential and turn your dreams into achievements. Inspired by the mastermind philosophy of Napoleon Hill, imagine a dynamic circle of tenacious minds, all committed to helping you reach your goals. In the Alliance Mastermind Group, leadership isn't just a title. It's an active journey towards the realization of your vision. Throughout history, mastermind groups have propelled leaders to new heights. Now, we're extending an invitation for you to experience this transformational power. At the Alliance Mastermind Group, leadership isn't just a concept. It's a dedication to each member's success. Our unique approach includes expert training sessions tailored to amplify your leadership skills. Now, this isn't just a group. It's like having your own executive board invested in your progress and your success. Imagine having a team where every member is genuinely interested in seeing your achievements and your goals reached. Or are you ready to take the first step? Apply now using the link in the description of this video and secure your place among the 10 leaders destined to be extraordinary in their success. The Alliance Mastermind Group, where leadership dreams take flight. Your vision, our commitment. Apply now.
Right. Well, and I can relate back to the beginning of time of drug testing. A lot of people were real hesitant about it. They would let us do drug testing, but then when we talked about the employers about alcohol testing, they didn't want any part of it. Because why? Because they used alcohol. Basically, at that point, they didn't think that was necessary to test people. Well, yeah, we need to have that's really big out there for us right now, and we're going to really be active pursuing that. The other thing was the employer's right to test. I mean, who has the ability to tell an employer, no, you can't test? Well, if they make a law, which they've done in some cases already with the marijuana pre-employment, you can't test with in New York pre-employment marijuana. You can't test for urine now in California or state of Washington because you can't test the metabolite. So those are the things that we have to be out there in. It's going to be a busy time educating people. Yeah,
it is. I think a lot of times with the individuals that we spoke to, when you brought that perspective to them, they didn't understand that this is the road we're traveling down.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of problems with that is that we just don't. We're only focusing on one part of the issue, and until you get all those pieces together, you're not going to have the whole picture.
Well, and you talk about, the hallucinogens out there. Well, if they do this with the marijuana, what's the next thing going to be? And what's the next thing going to be? And so I don't think our job's going to be done after this is done either. It's going to be a continuation of getting that educating people, let people understand this is a safety concern. These are really things. I like how, and I don't remember which person on our group would talk about the fact of employees are going to have the choice of going to a drug-free workplace or a place that uses drugs. And right now, if that happens, that's exactly what's going to be torn between the two. Which one do I want to work at? I don't want to work someplace where somebody's using.
Yeah. You're exactly right.
So we've got a lot ahead of us. There are things for us to be doing. But we also, in doing that, the biggest challenge is, number one, we have to do our due diligence and be really educated ourselves on what we're educating other people on. So that sometimes can be a problem because our feelings get in there sometimes. Yeah. Not really. Yeah, right.
Well, a lot. There's some of us that are very passionate about certain aspects of this. So yes, you're exactly right. You spoke about us going back to Washington, D.C., and that kind of goes into the next question of, NDASA values collaboration and inclusivity. You have to be able to collaborate with other board members, other stakeholders. How do you plan to be able to continue that collaboration and to be able to, with the broader membership, be able to foster a cohesive and an effective structure for us to continue to collaborate and see the value in that? What do you think?
Well, I really, when we went to Advocacy Day and we had Sam be there and they're part of it, I think by collaborating with other industry associations out there is one way. SHRM, being part of SHRM, and human resource people, talking with them and letting them know what we're doing. Trucking associations, all of that, we have to collaborate with them because we are working sometimes for them. So we have to be a part of that. But in with the employers, if we can help manage their programs, I think that would be a very good cohesive way of working as we structure it. Having staff being able to go out and talk at these events, that's a very positive. Our executive director does a very good job with that, of talking about all aspects of the drug and alcohol testing. Joe McGuire, she's one of the excellent ones out there talking to. This last week, they had the regional training, which we're going around and training everybody in regional trainings. And you and I put on one in South Dakota that one time, and all that kind of stuff comes up. That's how we get out. That's how we get our names out there and work with the people, being able to show them that we're working for them. Sometimes we work with them, but a lot of times we're working for them in doing whatever we need to do to make their job easier and help them in the long run. And some of us say, if it ever comes to the day that we don't need drug and alcohol testing, which I don't see in the near future,
I don't either.
But if people didn't use, we wouldn't have that problem. And we're legalizing things, and now we have more treatment centers than ever before. But that's what we need to do, is get to the right people to help them understand the industry and why we are there to help them, be their go-to place. And I think National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association has become that.
Yeah,
I think we get lots of calls every day on people wanting information. If they don't call there, they're calling you or they're calling me.
Yep.
And they do know that we're there helping them and out there. I get on the regular basis at least 10 calls a week of people that want to start up the business. And what do you do for this and that? And that's why mentorship has been so important. So there are a lot of things that are going to be developed in the next few days, weeks, months, years.
Yeah. Well, and Jan, that's just it. I mean, the rapidly evolving landscape of drug and alcohol screening technologies and regulations, it's growing by leaps and bounds. There's things that are happening all the time. So how do you intend to stay informed and ensure that NDASA remains at the forefront of that industry, or the innovation and the compliance part of that? What are your plans for that?
Read, and read. Listen. Rod, watch the news. There's all sorts of ways of doing it. I am being in constant contact with the people in the industry. I also go to SHRM and speak. I go to the DOT their conferences they have here. I've gone to speak at those. So you got to keep yourself out there to let other people know what we're about. But just to keep up with it is going to be a challenge. One of the things I do, and a lot of people probably know me from there, is I'm real active on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I have certain groups out there that I have set up that we talk through things. And my first hour of every day is going through the news and the changes and the things. I also, because I signed up to ODAPSI's website, I get emails from the DEA on what drugs are coming in the U.S., where they're capturing the most, and all that. Things that keep you abreast of what's going on. And like I say, that's reading, that's being a part of groups, talking things out. I don't know if there's any other real definite ways of doing that, Chuck. What would you think? What do you do?
The biggest thing is that we have people within NDASA itself that are trying to address those ongoing issues, trying to make it a little bit easier for myself, you, and others to be able to give the best services we can to our clients.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody that's going to try and come out with a better way or a better method. And you know what? Some of those methods are going to be spot on. They're going to be things that we really need to take into consideration and we need to get behind. And then there's others that you just have to kind of look at and go, I don't know if you really thought this all the way through. I don't think
we've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we've tried that and this didn't work. So what have you done that you feel that it will work now?
Yeah.
I think it's important to to listen to those people, to be able to let them explain to everyone, because everybody has a dream, everybody has a passion,
Yeah. Right.
and and if somebody does have that passion, then I think that it's our obligation, because like I tell a lot of my clients, look, this is not about Chuck Marting. This is not about my business.
Right.
This is in how I'm able to provide for your needs and what
Hmm.
you need in your business.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes
Yeah.
we lose that perspective, and it starts to
True.
become about us. And when you start doing that, you're kind of going down the wrong road, in my
Right.
opinion. You're
Well,
going to miss.
I say, even in my training, Chuck, you stop after doing the training so many years, I stop, and I have to stop once in a while and say, wait a minute, these are new people sometimes, and they don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And so you really do have to go through that explanation, and take it back a step sometimes. So yeah.
Jan, it goes back to what you said earlier in this interview, though. One of your main things that you said right at the beginning, and that's you need to listen. And I think
Right.
sometimes we don't take the time to listen, or we are sometimes, we are hearing what they're saying, but we're not listening to help them,
Mm-hmm.
or we're listening to give an answer and not
There,
hearing
that's it right
to
there. Yep.
find the truth. So
Mhm.
I think that's the big thing,
Yeah.
and you nailed it right there, and that's what needs to take place, and not make it about you, but to be able to listen. So I think
Right.
that's going to
Yeah.
be crucial. But
Crucial.
there's a lot of it goes into our next question. There's a lot of ethical considerations that come into play. And a significant role in the Drug and Alcohol Screening
Hmm.
Association is going to be in prioritizing those ethical decision makings, and to ensure transparency in what we're bringing and what we're recommending to our employers and to other people. So, how do you feel the best way for us as a board to be able to ensure that transparency and integrity is there at the center, especially as a board member?
Okay. This is kind of a toughie, really, because there's so many times that your personal opinions kind of get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And what we really, as the leaders of the association, that they're wanting us to be for them, is we really need to look at all sides of the facts and then make a clear decision. Sometimes I don't always agree on the direction that everybody, but if somebody
Amen.
can sit down, and as a board and the directors, and what I've found with the board that we have right now currently, everybody does sit back and listen, and pretty much everybody will put their opinion in. And
Mm.
that's what, being on the board, you have to, don't just sit there with your mouth closed and not do anything. We have to actually speak up and say what we think or what we need, or and it's a group thing. It's not, when we make a final decision on anything, I think what the whole thing is, what really basing it on is our integrity. Is this make good sense? Is it a direction that we do need to go, or is it something we really don't even need to worry about? And basically, there's been some things that get kicked off. We don't go through with them. But by us learning and us getting the knowledge of what we need to do, doing our due diligence is what I tell everybody. And we do our due diligence. Because I'm a secretary, I'm also on the executive committee, as you know. So there's things when in between meetings, our executive committee meets, and there's things that come up there that we don't even bring to the full board, because why should we? I mean, it's not ethical. It's not what we want, a direction we want the association even to think about. We tell about it, but everybody always agrees on what we have agreed on. And so it takes that work off. I think by having that integrity and being transparent in what we're doing, that's the ethical part of our association, our board. We have never in the 6 years had any real big conflict of anything. We've worked it all out. With the merger, that I can tell you that was one thing that we all didn't know how to handle it and all that kind of stuff. So that was interesting. That being, things we have to do with. And like I said, if we do our due diligence and do what's right, we think for our members, because we're working for the members as a board member. We're not getting paid to do this. It's not a job. It's all volunteer, which I think is the way to go with this, because then we do make those decisions in a good way.
And having people that are seasoned in this industry, that have been here, such as yourself, you're going to probably have a perspective or something that's going to add to that I wouldn't have, because you've experienced it, or you've seen something that would cause you to want to, address a certain aspect of this and say, we need to take this into consideration. And you having the ability to bring your voice out and to be able to share that and not be intimidated and not let, like you were saying a little bit ago, egos get involved. This isn't an ego thing. This isn't, a competition in grade school where I'm trying to be more popular than you type of thing. Sometimes it takes a lot in leadership for you to be able to put that to the side and not allow that to get into the process. And then be able to accept that from other people, allow them to say things without, being very judgmental and going, oh, they have an agenda. That's where that listening comes into play, and hearing them, what they're saying. So I totally agree.
And we got to keep our personal stuff out of it.
And it's hard.
So it's hard
because that's who you are.
But, and that's the thing I go back to, because I was a manager, and I just said that the other day. I was talking to somebody, I did some reasonable suspicion to supervisors, and I was saying, how many friends do you have now that you're a supervisor in the business, right? And you take that away because you are managing. It's a whole different thing. We're trying to manage. You take that personal, closeness that you had with those workers, and you're doing the good for the association at this point. So,
Jen, that's why this podcast is being shared with my other one, The Language of Leadership, because what we're talking and addressing is hugely about leadership and how you present yourself and how you're going to do things. And I think it's just important for other leaders to experience the interactions that we're having right now, so that they understand what it is that prepares you to be able to do other things within your career, and how your leadership can be effective in other areas other than just maybe the position that you're in right now in a company. We're all, like you said earlier, taking from our own experiences and our own businesses, and we're bringing it to the forefront of this and into this table of other individuals that are bringing their experiences too. So, I got another question for you. And it's probably one of the last questions that I really have for you. It's been a great interview. We've covered quite a bit, and time is just flying by. So
it is.
I wanted to ask you, and I'm really interested in hearing this from you, because I think that you have a very unique, not only ability, but an experiences that you can share. But can you give us an example of a situation where you faced a complex challenge or a disagreement within a professional organization or a setting, and you had to navigate it in order to achieve a positive outcome? You had to be the one that brought that perspective that we just talked about into this. What did you do? What was that?
There's so many things, Chuck, but I guess a lot of, and I go back to the merger. When with the merger with NDASA, that was one thing. But I've been through a couple other mergers in my career. The very first one was when I was working as a lab tech. And you know where we found out about the merger? Was through the newspaper.
Wow.
The employees had no clue.
Yeah.
Okay. It was Park Medical Center and Nicollet Medical Center up in Minneapolis, and it ended up being the main site was in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. I was working at the lab at the time, and when you worked at the lab as a lab tech, I was afloat. So I'd go out to all these different clinic sites. I would be in Bloomington, Minnesota in the morning, afternoon in Edina, next morning another place, another place. And what we found is with this merger, and I finally said, I can't keep going to all these places, and the pipettes are in the drawers. I can't find them one place. I go to take an X-ray, and I can't find something to do the shield or something. I don't know where they store it. And I tried to bring it all together so that all the clinics were set up exactly the same. I think the merger itself, everybody was up in arms about it, but by pulling that together and making everything consistent from one clinic to the other was a very positive outturn. So the same thing has happened here with our merger. They have their stuff and we have their stuff. And being on the training and communications committee, I've got a great group of people that are part of that, putting together the manuals for both of them so that we have cohesiveness in the same manuals that we can use for all the training, putting together the training programs and stuff. So headaches of putting things in, and it didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of meetings. It took a lot of talking. But when it did fall into place, and I think that's the thing when you talk about a challenge and where there's disagreements, some people would want it this way, some people would want it that way. We came together and in a positive mode came with a good solution at the end. And I think it's been a win-win for everybody. I really, truly do. Bringing both of these groups together of people and having one source for everybody, what a positive that's turned out to be, I think.
It's interesting what you said just a few minutes ago, and that is that here we are, two organizations that are in the same industry, but we were worried about the two views coming together and being able to work together. And I think once you started eliminating a lot of the unknowns of what people were worried about, and you basically peeled back the layer of that onion, layer at a time, and then you were able to give people the confidence of knowing what we were talking about earlier. This wasn't an ego thing. This is what's best for the industry. But we're all looking at a common thing, and we all are on the same page and just need to realize that. And I think we've done that. And it's become a very good thing. So, I think you nailed it with that.
Well, and standardizing everything we do. Really, it's not that it's rocket science that they did it one way and we did it that way. We're doing it. We're training. We're out there putting these businesses together. And who's at we all talk about safety. It's all the same talk. Everybody does the same thing. So, it's been a very positive, I feel, personally.
I want to thank you for being on the podcast, for giving me an opportunity to get you out there to let people know who you are a little bit better, so that they're able to make some decisions when it comes up to this election coming up. We're kind of in another unique position of 14 board positions open and 20 people that have applied or something like that.
There's 11 positions and 22 people.
Yeah. So, wow. That's
wow.
That's quite a bit of.
We should get the best of the best that way, right?
But it's a very unique position to be in. And so I wanted to take just a moment in a personal privilege and just wanted to acknowledge you for a moment and thank you for all the things that you've done from the beginning. You're a very strong voice in this, and you're a person that has the character and the leadership to be able to bring this to the forefront and to give us some guidance and direction from the beginning. And so I know that with your continued guidance and with your experience and the things that you're wanting to accomplish, that NDASA is in good hands, and that we're going to be able to continue to grow as an organization and be able to bring those things to the forefront. We need people that have the character to be able to come forward and say, no, this is what we need to do and this is why, and not be afraid to voice that. And you're one of those people that's able to do that in a positive way, but let people know that you care about them still. And so I just want to thank you for that, because I've learned a lot from you as far as how to take other people's feelings into consideration and still be able to come across with your point and do it in a way that people actually understand. That's been the cool part of that, is being able to see that. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chuck. Thank you. I really think we do have a good group of people that we have different. What you do in your area and what I do in my area probably sometimes is not always the same, and I think we are able to work it out.
You bet.
Sometimes I always go, this is the Midwest way, not the Southern way. No, not the whatever,
This isn't the
Rockies,
Jersey way.
whatever. Not the Jersey way. But that's the whole thing. This is so broad. It is
Yeah.
so big that
Yeah.
we do need to have on our board. We need to have that differences and different opinions and watch and listen, like you say, to everything that we're doing. It really is important. And
It
yes, I
is.
do have a voice. I don't keep my mouth shut.
You don't-
Sometimes I've had to keep things in line and go back to the secretary's notes and say, no, that's not
Yeah.
what we said. We
But you know what?
said
That's what we
this.
need. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
And it's like, they can't do that because I said, no, I have it right here in the notes.
Yep.
you know,
Exactly.
and how did I get roped into being a secretary? I'm going to tell you from the beginning of time when we were putting the association together, trying to organize it, Jan had pencil and paper and was making notes. I
Taking
have
notes.
notes back to the very first meeting that we made and how we did things. It's just, to me, I always take notes because I can
You,
understand things better
you,
when I read my own writing, right?
you better be careful with that. Next thing you know, the Chairman Greer is going to ask you to be the historian.
Oh,
So
there you go. Right. You never know what he might come up with there. That might
ex-
be the next. Yeah.
exactly. Well, you know what, Jan? It's been a great interview, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity here at the end to just be able to say anything that you would like to say to the audience here, to the NDASA for their consideration when we're getting ready to do this election. If there's anything else you'd like to say.
Okay. Well, I'll just kind of wrap it up to say that I I will continue as an active member no matter what goes on and what happens and whatnot. But I do ask for support from the members. I feel like I've been doing a good job for everyone, I hope. And if I haven't, you should have told me. No. But I do want to still utilize my leadership skills. It was a hard decision for me to think if I was going to run another term. And I thought, I just have to stick with it one more time because this will be my last hurrah, because we can only serve 3 terms, and this will be my 3rd. And with my background from being in family medicine all the way through OCMED and working at laboratories and everything, I still feel that I can have that contact with other people to support National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association. There's not a day that goes by when I'm talking with people that I don't inform them of why they should join National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association, for advocacy, for networking, for whatever the reason might be. And I've got a whole list I go through. And I think that's what we need, is people on our board who are willing to step up to the plate and work and help with what directions we're going in. So I really would like to continue and ask for everybody's support to vote. And please do vote.
Yes.
I mean, some people think, oh, just and I'm that way with my insurances. They send out those things that you got to vote on insurance. I don't know those people. I'm not going to vote for somebody I don't know. And so it's just like this year in our presidential election and all that do your due diligence. Look at all the people that are running. Make yourself a scorecard and decide who you really want to be serving you as, because remember, this is a member-owned, member-driven association. Nobody gets paid but our staff, and we are doing it for everybody out there. And you do have a voice. Everybody has a voice as a member of NDASA. So just take that right to vote. Please, please, please vote. Thank you.
Man. Well, Jan, thank you for, again, being here on the podcast today. And I wish you well. And I'm looking forward to having you on the podcast again on a future episode. I'm sure there's going to be things as we go down this road that are going to come up that you're obviously going to want to be involved in or want to be able to get out to the membership, and you're more than welcome to come back at any time. So I want to thank you for that, and I hope you have a great week.
Thank you, Chuck Martin. You're the best.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.